Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Corner Office, Saturday edition. So we're going to try and get you in and out as quickly as possible because let's be honest, there's a lot of really good college football games on today that I will be watching a lot of if I'm not in practice. What is it like? Before we get to the NFL stuff, I mean, we didn't really plan this one out, but I think Alabama plays Tennessee, which is a top 10 matchup, and then
And
Georgia plays Texas, which is a top 5 matchup. So those are two games that we will definitely be tuned into, even though, I mean, we don't really care about college football. You know, it's not really like our forte, I would say. But that being said, like when there are high quality matchups on, I think I'm going to be watching them.
If you like football, you're going to watch.
Yeah, that's more so what I was getting at is like, you know, if you are a football guy, which I think Jack and I never played football, but we both consider ourselves to be fans. You're going to be interested in these games, especially when, you know, these top teams are clashing earlier on in the season. Georgia's had a really tough schedule thus far. I think they're
always going to, though, as an SEC team.
I think they win tonight amazingly. Like I know it's like I think they're dogs, but I expect that they're going to win tonight against Texas, which I don't think a lot of people have in their script here.
Well, they're minus 3.5, or they're plus 3.5 against Texas. If Ewers is playing healthy, I think Texas can whoop them. But yeah, Georgia's proven that they're beatable, but not easily.
Agreed.
They're not a number 5 team. They're like a number 3 team that is seeded number 5 because they have a loss.
Yeah. I don't know what we're going to really be seeing from Georgia. I think that, like, you know, they were the preseason number 1 team in the country. I think that their defense is really good, and I think that Quinn Ewers coming off an injury it's going to be, you know, what type of Quinn Ewers do you get? You know, do you get the guy that was, you know, a Heisman candidate through the first 4 weeks, or you get the guy that, you know, wasn't on the field for the last 3 or 4 weeks?
Right. Anyways, let's move into the NFL.
Yeah,
Before we get into last week's talk, there is some huge blockbuster moves that have gone on this week. Mm-hmm. Most notably out of all of them is the reuniting of Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. Jets are becoming Packers 2.0 between them and Alan Lazard.
Yep.
Do you think that this move of Davante Adams to the Jets moves the needle for them? Do you think it's enough for them to become number 1?
In the AFC East?
Yeah.
So let's look at the records right now. I mean, honestly, I think the AFC East as a whole has looked like a really weak division thus far. They're actually in 3rd place in the AFC East behind the Dolphins, who are 2-3. They're 2-4. The Bills are 4-2. I think the issues with this team, though, have stemmed from their offensive output, though. You know, so like obviously like getting another high quality piece in Davante Adams is going to move the needle for them a little bit more. And the Bills have looked really susceptible to loss right now. You know, they haven't been playing really good football. They had a really close game against the Jets last weekend where they really didn't look in sync. But then again, they also just made another massive move, which we're going to talk about. So there is a lot of movement going on in the AFC East right now. That being said, I think Davante Adams coming to this Jets team means that Garrett Wilson is going to be freed up as the wide receiver 2 in open coverage, which is a good thing for that offense.
So I was just going to say, you think that Garrett Wilson becomes the 2?
I do think so. I think Davante Adams becomes the 1, and then Garrett Wilson becomes the 2. And I think that we're going to see how that plays out this weekend against a really good Steelers defense. Although their secondary is a lot weaker than their, their pass block defense or their run defense. I don't know. I don't think the Bills are like securely the best team in this conference. I think that they've been very shaky thus far.
I agree. I honestly don't know what this does for the Jets. Like I agree with the move of like getting Adams. Obviously that's going to make any team better. But now you've got a wide receiver 1 who's already upset with where the team is at and now being demoted for like a win now scenario when you have 2 guys that are in their 30s that are leading your team. It's just not really what successful football teams do. Another completely side note, NFL trades suck compared to the NBA.
Do. Yeah, I was talking about this the other day. I don't really get how they happen.
How is Davante Adams worth a 3rd-round pick? That makes no sense.
It makes no sense to me. It really does make no sense.
But a player like Davante Adams in the NBA would go for 5 first-round picks. And players.
There's maybe value there that like I'm not seeing like in the third. Like I don't get the value system when it comes to the NFL, especially with trades. Wide receivers get traded for bags of chips all the time.
Amari Cooper has never been traded for anything fair.
Yep, and he's always been consistently outputting good scores. Devontae Adams going for bro. Like I'm like, why isn't every NFL team trying to get him? You know what I mean? Like that's like my perspective on
Because
it.
he's so picky with where he wanted to go. He either wanted to go back with Aaron Rodgers or he wanted to go be with Derek Carr in New Orleans. But now they have
Which is
Spencer Rattler
strange.
starting.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
he just wanted to be with his guy, which is fair enough.
Yeah, yeah,
But
I hear it.
I just don't get it. Like, how is he
Yeah,
only
I
worth
don't get it
3?
either. I don't get it either. I don't get that whole market just makes really no sense to me. But that being said, like that's how NFL trades just kind of are. I mean, it's kind of always been that way. Like DeAndre Hopkins got traded for nothing like 3 or 4 years ago from the Texans to where
The
did he go?
Cardinals,
Cardinals. That's
Arizona,
right.
yeah.
Yep. So like it just seems like that's like the trade market. Like so, the other massive move that happened this weekend was Amari Cooper goes from the Browns to the Bills. What did he get traded for?
I think it was a 5th.
A 5th-round pick.
I
What are
think
you
he got
getting out of
traded
the
for a
5th
5th
round?
round pick.
What are you getting out of the 5th round if you're Cleveland? Like, is it maybe that you get more draft capital so you can move up in the draft? Is that like what you're looking to do? You know, the Cleveland Browns
A
are going to
third
be
and a
projected
7th.
top 3 pick. You know, so I don't really know like what the story is with that, especially when you're losing probably your best receiver.
Well, and Amari Cooper, it's the first time in his career that he's been with a quarterback that's one of the best in the league. I mean, you can say that Dak Prescott was, but I don't know if Amari Cooper was the number 1 wide receiver at that time, right? So now you put him in a scenario where he is the clear and obvious number 1. I think it's going to be great for him. Even though he is aging a little bit, I still think that he is going to finish this season with 1,000 yards and be Josh Allen's number 1 target, which
I agree.
he finally, in my opinion, has been the biggest problem for him so far this season. He hasn't had his number 1 target. Now he has a guy who's going to get open for him. And Amari Cooper has had no problem getting open this season. I know you probably haven't watched many Browns games because no one has, because it's like, I'd rather stab 2 forks through my eyeballs.
Yeah, why would you ever want to watch one?
Yeah, but he is getting open all the time. He gets like 10 targets a game, but he only has 4 receptions because the football isn't thrown to him.
But that being said, he also like has been leading the league in drops right now. I think he's dropping like 50% of his passes. But those passes probably aren't in great position. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I don't think that Deshaun Watson has thrown a really good ball this year.
And he looked amazing with Joe Flacco last year.
Correct.
Mark
he
Cooper
really did. To harp on the Flacco should still be in a Browns uniform, you know, ballad that we've kind of been singing from now on. But like I think that's one of the truer statements that you could make about him. But yeah, I mean, I think that Amari Cooper will thrive alongside a guy like Josh Allen. They clearly needed receiver depth. Like Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman were clearly not ready to be that wide receiver 1 for this team, and I think
Correct.
Amari Cooper will be the one that will step up into that role.
And now they have a good receiving core.
Correct. I agree. I think that frees them up for some really interesting options, and I think that it gives Josh Allen like a wide receiver 1 to play off of, because obviously like his reception numbers have been down, but his interception numbers have been down this year too, which is a good thing in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a safety blanket with Kincaid.
Yep.
But you can only abuse that so many times. They made the right move. Let's continue on here. New Patriots quarterback Tom Brady makes his first start for the Patriots this weekend.
Yeah, he does.
No, seriously, Drake Maye did start for the Patriots this weekend. I didn't get a ton of time to watch this game. I was on the plane while it was going on. I got to see some of his drives, some of the least flattering ones. From what I saw in the highlights, he didn't look great. He had 1 bad pick and one that wasn't really his fault. He gave me enough glimpse of hope to think that we maybe are going to win 3 games this year.
That's kind of what I wanted to say.
Yeah, it was like his throw downfield to Kayshon Boutte for his first touchdown was great. His passing touchdown to Pop Douglas was great. He had moments of greatness. And I was very excited with what I got.
I think that's kind of what we were expecting. And like, at least for me, I was hoping that like you would see some glimmer of hope that there is future here. You know what I mean? Obviously, he had 2 bad interceptions. That's going to happen, you know, playing against an NFL defense for the first time, especially one that good. Of the caliber of the Texans, right? Like you kind of fed him to the Wolves week 1 and just kind of like, you know, asked him to figure it out, which totally understand that, you know, like we weren't winning.
He put up 20 points for the first time all season.
Correct. And he threw for 3 touchdowns, which is something that Jacoby Brissett was unable to do in his first few weeks as the Patriots starting quarterback. So I think that they're trending in the right direction. Does he look super polished? Not yet, right? But like
he's never going to.
again, you're looking for just glimpses at this point to say that, okay, we can hang our hat on him being a piece of this team going forward. We don't need to draft another quarterback next year. And I think that's kind of what we, got from that.
Yeah, and what else was great was everyone around him seemed super excited to be playing with their guy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? All the wide
Yes.
receivers and the tight ends and the running, they were all very excited to be playing with Drake Maye.
Yeah, I
And
wouldn't
that is
disagree.
awesome.
I agree. I think that that's one of the things about this team, though, is that they've kind of rallied around the fact that, like, they're not supposed to win. You know what I mean? I think that's coaching staff down, right? Like, every game you're going to be a dog. Every game you're going to be an underdog. Can you get wins in these types of moments? And I think that, Drake Maye obviously shooting some life in there, playing offensively, taking risks, like all these types of things. I think that is a positive sign for the future going forward.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think that we actually have a chance against the Jags this week, but I'm not going to get into that until a little bit later.
I do too.
Let's talk about our last week picks. For the first time this season, we both went 5-0. That might be the first time actually.
5-0.
I said
earlier this season.
No, but we both went 5-0.
Yes, we did. We both went 5-0.
I don't know if we've ever both gone 5-0 in the same week.
I don't think we have. We were on a heater
that was
this
pretty
week.
awesome.
Yeah,
and it came down to the Monday Night Football game because on Sunday I had the Bengals spread and they ended up covering, and all I needed was the Bills to not cover.
The
their
Bills
2.5.
Really tried to give it away.
They certainly did.
They really tried to give it away. But yeah, I mean, look, we picked really well. I had Colts over the Titans. They won by 3. Falcons over the Panthers. That was basically a lock. And then I took the Bills to cover against the Jets, and they did. You took the Niners over the Seahawks. I thought that was risky. They covered. The Bengals over the Giants. Bengals looked really bad, but they got it done. And then the Steelers over the Raiders was pretty much a lock as well. And then we both took the Chargers,
Lions.
right? In game of the week. Or not game of the week?
We both took Chargers and not game of the week, and Lions in game of the week.
Right. And so 2 games with really polar opposite, results. I think first and foremost, we have to talk about this Lions-Cowboys game if we're going to talk about anything. I really wish George was here. I really do. Because he
did flake on me. He flaked on me twice.
I have some real questions as to what the hell is going on in Dallas right now.
He does not have answers, I promise you.
They got eviscerated by the Lions. They lost 47-9. They didn't score a touchdown. They were kicking
on Jerry Jones' birthday.
I know. And bro, the Lions were like throwing passes to their offensive linemen in the second half. They were just having fun out there.
They did it 3 times.
They just tried to do it 3 times.
One genuinely really horrible storyline is Aiden Hutchinson going down with a clear season-ending broken leg.
I think they trade for Max Crosby, though, which I do think will be very dangerous by the time that Aiden Hutchinson gets back.
Yeah, I mean, that's scary. You don't want to see one of those guys coming at you if you have both of them.
Yeah, that's bad.
It's frightening.
That's bad. But that being said, yes, you never want to lose a guy. I don't know why he was playing at that stage of the game. I guess it was the third quarter, but just super unfortunate that he goes down in that fashion. But that being said, I mean, they ran the Cowboys out of the stadium in their home stadium. I think we're going to talk a little bit more about the Cowboys later on today, but let's
just do it right now.
Okay, is this the nail in the coffin for this Dak Prescott run and the Cowboys? Like where do they go from here?
I think it is. I don't think that you can look this Cowboys team in the eye and say we want to build around the core that we have. I mean, you've already been through 3 iterations of this team, and not once have you made it out of the second round.
Right, and
so I think it's time that if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you look yourself in the mirror and you say, we need to rebuild around CeeDee Lamb. The problem is, I don't think that your GM/owner is willing to cut the profit margins that you're making right now in order to have a good football team. He would rather hang around in mediocrity and have 10 game of the weeks out of the 18 on Fox and still be making money, which is really tough.
Yeah, I think that you've just devoted so much money to 2 players at this point, and CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, that you've kind of dug yourself into a hole. Like, look, we both think that Dak Prescott is probably a fringe top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Correct.
I still do. I still think that he is. But that being said, you've devoted so much money to this team, and your defense is supposed to be the leading part of this Cowboys roster. Like last year, their defense is what carried them through games. Now they've been battling with injuries. Micah Parsons, I don't think played on Sunday.
He did not.
But like their defense has been anything but sound all season long.
You have to pay Micah this year, this offseason.
Correct.
And he's going to walk if they continue to be this bad.
I agree. I agree. Their secondary has been really bad. That was supposed to be something that they, shored up with
If you
Trayvon
look
Diggs and them.
if you look in the past 2 seasons, right? I mean, just like throughout NFL history,
Uh-huh.
cornerbacks will pop up and have one season with a ton of interceptions, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys looked at these guys if they've had each of the last 2 years
Right.
in Trevon Diggs, and I think it was Malik Hooker, but I'm not sure.
It doesn't sound wrong, but I can't verify that off the
Right.
top of my
So
head.
the past 2 years, they have had the interception leader in the NFL, and now
Yep.
they've built their secondary around it, and those guys are not having the same season that they set their standard at,
Yep.
which is an incredibly difficult bar to reach. And they are getting
Agreed.
absolutely cooked.
Okay.
They are one of the worst secondaries in the NFL.
Yeah, it's bad. It's like really, really bad. And they're getting cooked by offensive linemen. Like Penny Sewell is, catching passes for the Lions right now. The Lions continue to play fun football. I think everybody in Detroit has rallied behind Dan Campbell and this Lions team. I mean, everybody's kind of pulling for them. That's just kind of how it is in Detroit right now. Everybody's, pulling for this Lions team. And, I think that Jared Goff has continued to play good enough for them to win, which is exactly what they need. They have a really tough in-division rivalry matchup this weekend that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But that being said, they've continued to play good football ever since I was kind of like, I don't know if this Lions team is going to be the same team that they were last year. They've continued to prove me wrong. So hopefully, Aiden Hutchinson gets healthy. They have the best two-back system in the NFL. Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs playing together off each other.
100%.
Best two-back system in the NFL. I don't think it's particularly close.
Deron Bland was who I was thinking of, by the way.
Okay.
Just to clear the air.
It looks really grim in Dallas right now, and that is a massive problem for them.
And the NFL as a whole. I mean, unfortunately, the Cowboys are one of those teams where the NFL is better when they're good.
Well, they're just a massive media market. Yeah,
they're
everybody knows.
Memeable, though.
Yeah, they are. They're very memeable. But also they're a huge international market team. Like they're still America's team, I guess, to some people. So it is too bad that they aren't performing well. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't want to see Nick Sirianni in the playoffs. So anybody out of the the NFC East that could win this thing that isn't the Eagles or the Cowboys. Let's go commies, But I don't know who it's gonna be. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, big time rooting for the Commanders there. Let's talk about Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go for it. Yeah.
Last week they played the Browns. They beat them 20-16, but they again, for the 6th time this year, did not win in convincing fashion.
Uh-huh.
Does this Eagles team deserve to be in the playoff in playoff contention, or do you think that they are frauds and not good enough? Or let me ask you a separate question. Do you think that they'll find their groove this season?
I don't know. I think Jalen Hurts has looked really bad. He has been a bottom 10 quarterback thus far in the NFL. Saquon Barkley started off the season really hot. He's been bad as well. I think that, you have guys like A.J. Brown. You have guys like Devontae Smith. You've surrounded yourself with very solid players. You should be playing better football at this point. You got Dallas Goedert on the wing. You got really good players that you have to be throwing the ball to. And every single one of Jalen Hurts' stats as a QB rating is down. I think that the best football they played this year was the first week against the Green Bay Packers. You know what I mean? I don't think they played anywhere near that level of football ever since then. And then going up to the Browns fans and bragging after you beat a team that's 1-5 and has no direction by 4 points is despicable, in my opinion. I think that you can't be doing that if you have championship aspiration.
I mean, I don't even know if you can do that when I don't know if you can do that when you win a big game. You can't go up to their fans and scream. It's still embarrassing. But even if you're doing it when beating, even if the players were doing it when beating the Browns is like beating an old folks home. Everyone's doing it right now. It's not hard.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they got embarrassed by Baker Mayfield. Their defense has continued to be mediocre. I mean, they're just very middle of the pack. Yeah, I just think they're a very disappointing team right now. I mean, obviously they have, some tough in-division rivalry games coming up, and I guess we're going to have to see with them. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see them sitting around 500 for the rest of the season, because I just don't think that they played convincing football this year. But that being said, they have so many weapons. They should be better than they are.
Do you think Jalen Hurts is the guy?
I don't know.
I'm going to ask it to you again.
I don't know. I don't know. He hasn't looked like it this season, but I don't know if you're going to find a better quarterback out there right now. You know what I mean? Like who's going to replace him?
All right. Last thing we're going to talk about real quick before we get into a little game that we're going to play. We sold the Saints at the right time, didn't we? Because they have been so bad since we sold them.
We did sell them. We sold them after week 2. We were like, the Saints are going to fall off. They have looked atrocious since we did that. They got 51 points put on them by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then Bo Picks put 33 on them.
Bo Nix hung 33 points on you guys. They're so bad. Dude, they're so bad. And Spencer
really,
Rattler,
really bad.
Spencer Rattler is the new NFL meme quarterback.
Is he?
He's horrible.
QB1? Spencer Rattler, QB1?
Probably QB2 behind Dak Prescott, but
he
is.
Yeah, he was on a show in high school called QB1, which no one remembers aside from like me, I guess. It was like on Netflix, and it was about like the top 3 high school quarterbacks, and one of them was Jake Fromm, who played at Georgia, and then Spencer Rattler, and then another guy who I don't remember. I could figure it out, but like, yeah, it's cool to see Spencer Rattler fail because he's kind of just an asshole. I think is like kind of his reputation there. But yes, this Saints team looks atrocious right now. But hey, hats off to their 2-week run of being just super good. Hats off.
Yeah.
Super happy for them.
Banners fly forever.
Yeah.
Hang that one up in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
Hang it in the rafters. We won 2 football games in the NFL.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on here. We got a little segment. It's called Are They For Real? I'm going to name some NFL teams for you. You're going to tell me if they're for real a playoff contender or if they're, I mean,
it's pretty self-explanatory.
Most of the time people call this contender or pretender. I don't want to like blatantly rip them off, but we're going to blatantly rip them off. We're going to call it contender or pretender. I'm going to ask you 5 teams. You're going to give me your take.
Go.
First one, Atlanta Falcons.
Contender.
And why?
I think I like Kirko. I'm a Kirko Chains guy. And that's like, that's swaying my opinion. I think that, look, I think the NFC South is perennially one of the weakest conferences in the NFL. They're going to have to battle that out with the Bucs to, be in playoff contention, but the Saints and the Panthers are automatic wins on the schedule right now. I think Kirko Chains and this offense has really figured it out, and this defense is coming along. You forget that they have Matt Judon coming off the edge. You know what I mean? Because that trade with the Patriots where we got a bag of chips for our best defensive player happened. And that being said,
they have Grady Jarrett too on the defensive line.
Correct. They're just a really fun team. Like it's hard not to pull for this Kirk Cousins led team. Bijan Robinson in the backfield. Like sure, he hasn't gotten the amount of touches.
Been really good too.
Yeah, sure he hasn't gotten the amount of touches that you probably want him to. But like I'm super excited to see it. Drake London seems to have found his footing. If they get Kyle Pitts involved, he's dangerous. Darnell Mooney has been really good this year.
I have been waiting to break out for 3 years now, and he's finally doing it. All he needed was a change of scenery. I'm very happy for him.
I am too. So like it really seems like they're starting to put it together, and I couldn't be more happy for them. I think that they are going to win the NFC South.
All right. Next team. Los Angeles Chargers.
I'm going to say pretenders. I don't think I'm a Chargers guy. Like I think I'm in on them. But I don't think they're a contender for the Super Bowl or even for playoff contention. Obviously, you're in a really tough conference every year when you have to play the Chiefs twice a year in the AFC West. I think that them and the Broncos will be battling out for that 3rd seed because I do think the Broncos have been, a little bit surprising this year in how well they played. Justin Herbert hasn't really gotten involved as much, but I think that this team is more of a project, a long-term project, than it is a win right now type of team.
All right, sorry. I just had some water go down the wrong throat, so I'm
classic. Trying to drown himself on national television right here.
All right, another NFC South team, the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Okay, so it's interesting. It's interesting to go Falcons and then Bucks, right? Back to back. I guess I have to say that they're pretenders, but I also really like them. You know what I mean? Like I think Baker Mayfield plays a fun style of football. They just hung 51 points on the Saints. You can't ignore that. They beat some really good teams. I mean, I think that, if I wasn't such a big Falcons fan, and the Falcons did beat them in OT, but they probably shouldn't have. I would look at the Buccaneers schedule and the teams that they've beaten and be like, okay, like this is probably the better team. They beat the Commies, they beat the Lions, they beaten the Eagles. But their one glaring loss has come against the Broncos, where they just had nothing going for them. So I think it comes down to what version of Baker Mayfield you're going to get, because he threw for 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions against the Saints. Like, you never know what version you're going to get with him. But that being said, the resurgence of Chris Godwin should be studied.
Oh, he's been great.
Dude was horrendous like 2 years ago, and now he's coming back as a wide receiver 1, or maybe even a wide receiver 2, because they do have Mike Evans. But that being said, I'm going to say Pretenders, just because I want the Falcons to win this division, but I do think they're a really good team.
All right, fair enough. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pretenders. Not much more to say about them.
I think everyone kind of knows that they're going to finish the season 500.
Correct. And they're starting Russell Wilson for some reason.
That makes no sense to me. Justin Fields has been very good.
I agree. They play in the AFC North.
Young, and you could possibly build around him.
They play in the AFC North. You're not going to beat the Ravens, in my opinion. The Bengals have looked bad, but when they're on, you're not going to beat the Bengals. And then, who the hell cares about the Browns at this point?
I just think that the Steelers are stepping on their own dicks by putting Russell Wilson at QB1, but I
don't get it. I don't get it.
Me neither. Especially since he hasn't played in a single game yet, but we'll move on.
Yep.
Your final team is the Chicago Bears.
I'm buying stock in the Chicago Bears right now, aside from the fact that they're in the NFC North, which right now looks like the best division in football. Every single one of these teams has 4 wins. All of them.
Does it alarm you that their only wins have come against teams that are 1-5?
A little. Yeah. They've beaten some really bad teams, but I think they're trending in the right direction. Like, Caleb Williams looks like he's starting to, figure it out, get his footing under him, and they're putting up points against these teams. I want to say contenders. I'm going to say pretenders, just because, look, they're probably going to finish last in this division. Because you have the Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers, who are all teams that I think could potentially win the division. You know what I mean? I think the Vikings will take a step back here.
I think I'm ready to sell on the Vikings.
I am too. I'm about ready to sell on the Vikings. I was about ready to sell when I heard that the Haley Welch, the Hawk Tua girl, is like dating Sam Darnold or something like that.
What?
Yeah, I'm serious. That's not a joke. Either I got like ball sack sported, or that's like a very like serious thing. You can do some research here if you want. But that being said, I just think that this division, top to bottom, is too strong for them to get wins in division, which they're going to have to do. And thus, I'm going to say that they are pretenders.
All right, let's move into our picks this week, shall we?
Yeah, sure. Did you verify the Sam Darnold thing or no?
I'm looking it up right now.
All right, word.
Can you hear this?
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah.
There's no way that shit is true.
Okay.
There's no way that's true.
All
right. My first pick of this week. Again, last week we went 5-0.
Yeah.
Last week I also gave you all 3 of your first choices last week, and then I got the second
picks I wanted. They were the picks I wanted.
So this week we alternated like a couple of gentlemen.
Yep.
My first pick, I am taking the Falcons to win by 3 points over the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks looked really bad against the Niners last week. The Falcons have looked consistently really good, like they can score on every possession that they play on offense. So
yeah,
I am taking the Falcons -3.
I don't hate that pick at all. That was definitely one of the ones that I was looking at as a first-round draft choice when we were going through them. I would have went the same way as you did, so I have no disagreements there. My first pick, I'm going to that in-division rivalry that we just talked about. I think the Lions being dogs is super dangerous. I'm taking them to win and cover 1.5 over Minnesota. They just got to win, but they're dogs, so they're plus 1.5 against Minnesota. I think that they win this game outright. And I'm really interested to see how this game shakes out, just because, I think Sam Darnold really did not look very good last weekend. And how is he going to play coming out of the bye week?
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to say the same thing you did about my pick. I looked at Lions plus 1.5 and was like, if I had 2 picks right now, I would take that one second. So
yep.
I agree with what you said. All right, my second pick, I am taking the Commanders minus 9.5 over the Panthers. I think the Panthers are playing better than they did at the start of the season. They
Uh-huh.
hung around with the Falcons, actually. It was a really interesting game last week.
Yep.
I still don't think that is enough to get it done. I think that the Commanders win by 10.
Okay. Fair enough. I think the Commanders have looked really good. That's a really big line, though, and I didn't want to go anywhere near that. I am going to take Indianapolis -3 over Miami. This is another one of those games that's a little bit dangerous, I would say, just because I don't know if Tua is playing, which is kind of, how I've gone through every week picking against the Miami Dolphins. But that being said, they've kind of looked really out of sorts ever since ever since he went down. So I guess, if Tyler Huntley is still the starting quarterback, I feel really comfortable saying that the Colts are going to win. But if not, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't think Tua is playing this week, so
I'm fine with this.
but
I think
Anthony
Flacco
Richardson
ball.
is back. Now, Anthony
I don't like
Richardson is
that.
starting quarterback this week.
I really don't like that at all, which really, changes my opinion on this, but I still think that they cover and win this game. But they should roll with Flacco. I don't know why they're switching up what's working.
Yeah, I agree. My last game is going to be Monday night. Both these teams are good, but the Ravens have literally been on an absolute rampage the last 4 weeks, beating four great teams.
Yep.
I am taking the Ravens -3.5 over the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I think that's a really good pick as well. The Ravens have looked like the best team in football, but I think we kind of say that every year, so I guess we'll see. That being said, I'm also going to go to the second Monday night game here. I think that the Cardinals being dogs in their house is a really bad idea. I have the Cardinals I have the Cardinals +2 over the Chargers here. I think that they win this game outright, and I think that as much as I've liked how the Chargers have played thus far, I don't think that Arizona should be an underdog in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's a good pick. Let's move into not game of the week. For this, we're going to be going to Tottenham Stadium, where the Jaguars play their second game in a row in London.
In London.
I feel horrible for British football fans. You have to watch the Jaguars awful. Twice a year.
I feel awful.
It's pretty clear to me that the NFL is heavily shopping the idea of moving the Jaguars overseas.
You think?
I do. I think that they are the favorite to go, as they have been for the past couple of years, and that's why they've been playing so many games overseas.
Interesting.
To try and test the market and have a fan base by the time that they get there. It seems pretty clear to me that they're getting ready to make that move. However, we will see if they end up going through with it.
Uh-huh.
I am sticking with the boys. I'm taking the Patriots over the Jaguars this week. I like the way that Drake Maye looks, and he did it against a very good defense. I think that if he does it against a really bad defense, if he plays the same way, that we will put up a sufficient amount of points for us to beat the Jaguars, who have not looked good this season.
Yeah, I want to pick the Patriots as well, but I think that we're going to be chalked through the next two picks, so I guess I'll go with the Jags here. This game is going to be unwatchable. So bad.
Do you think that the Jaguars deserve to be 6-point favorites?
No, I don't. I think the Patriots are bad, though. I think they're really bad. So I guess we'll find out.
And Travis Etienne is the RB2 for this game.
Correct. Tank Bixby has taken over the backfield, as well as Bucky Irving has taken over the backfield from Rachaad White in Tampa Bay. Just a statement for all you fantasy owners out there who are very upset about that.
Stevenson is probably not going to play this week as well.
Is he out?
With a foot injury, he's questionable.
I think he got upgraded to active on Friday, but I don't know.
All right, that's good. You have the Jaguars in that game.
Yeah, I'm taking them just because you took the Pats. I would take the Pats if I didn't have a choice, but
you're an asshole. This is one of the 3 games that we have a chance to win all season. All right. You're not going to take him.
Let's move into game of the week, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. My game of the week pick, obviously, Super Bowl rematch. We have to take Niners Chiefs. I have the 49ers winning. I think that they are too much for the Chiefs to handle right now. I don't know if the Chiefs' offense will be good enough to beat them. However, they seem to do it every time, and I should know by now to not bet against the Chiefs, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I mean, that was not the pick that I was expecting you to take. I'm taking the Chiefs here. I think that something miraculous is going to happen in the last few minutes of this game, a PI potentially that's going to give them this game here. I don't think that the San Francisco 49ers have looked that good, just top to bottom this entire season thus far. But that being said, I'm taking the Chiefs to win here. outright. And I mean, I guess that takes away from our chalk argument. So I guess we'll see what happens with the picks this week. Somebody will be losing instead of winning this week, and hopefully that's me and not you. And I'm excited for another week of football. I'm sure you are as well.
Incredibly. So until then, thank you for listening. Next week, we will have a basketball preview coming at you.
Thank God.
I'm assuming that we're going to have some guests on for that. So be
Yeah.
excited. But until then, this has been the Corner Office Pod, and I'm Jack Byrne.
And I'm Alex Penders.
Corner three. Corner three.
Boom.